One technique, 3 different ways. Let's get into it. The first way to do this technique is you're going to start by taking your background piece and you're going to flip it upside down before placing it into your embossing folder. You want the side with the ink blending to face down so it will be debossed, creating a recessed effect. And if you're using a 3D embossing folder, be sure to spritz the back of your paper with some water. This softens the fibers, preventing tears or cracks. Once your paper is debossed, it's time to create that blackout effect. Take your preferred black ink and gently swipe it over the raised areas. Apply the ink lightly at first, building up the layers to achieve a rich, deep black effect. Remember, don't press too hard or you'll risk smudging the ink into the recessed areas, which is going to blur the debossed details. If you prefer a bolder look, the second method is for you. Start by applying black ink directly onto your embossing folder. Make sure to cover the entire surface area where the design will transfer onto the paper. Remember to spritz your panel with a little bit of water to avoid cracks. Carefully place your background ink side up into the embossing folder. Close the folder and run it through your machine. You're going to see that the ink has transferred from the embossing folder onto your paper and onto those recessed areas of the design, creating a dramatic high contrast effect. I personally prefer this method, but it can be a little bit messy. The third way to do this technique is to emboss your background as you normally would. Once your design is embossed, grab a brayer and apply a generous amount of black ink to it. The key to this technique is to gently roll your brayer over the raised areas of the design without applying too much pressure. Start at the edges and work your way in, rotating the paper frequently to ensure an even application. This method gives you a lot of control over how much ink you apply, allowing for subtle variations of coverage. For richer or more dimensional look, you can add a second layer of ink, a slightly different shade such as charcoal or dark gray. Continue rolling the brayer until all raised areas are evenly covered, but avoid pressing too hard to keep the ink from seeping into the recessed areas. And there you have it, 3 ways to do the embossing folder blackout technique. I would love to know which one was your favorite. Let me know in the comments. And if you have any other variations of this technique, share them as well. Now, if you have a stack of embossing folders collecting dust, be sure to check out these videos where I share creative ways to use them so that you can get the most out of your supplies. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to stay creative, my friends.